Hello, Wilna here again. And this is the last page of this chapter. Even though it's page 3, it's actually page 4. Again, sorry for the OCD people. So I'm starting off with paint splatters or washes, and that's the chapter, the technique that I'm teaching, just to get rid of that intimidating white page. So I did prep my page with some gesso, heavy gesso, and now I'm just painting with a big flat brush. And it's actually always a good idea to have clean water ready. Again, I'm using the cut file from my Grace printables, and I'm just cutting it small because I don't put my papers or my illustrations over the creases. It just doesn't work for me that well. And I'm using Tombow glue. Okay, a little insight behind the scenes bit about these 4 layouts that I created for the very first chapter was actually the ones that I created last. So I did not use Tombow on the other illustrations that I added to my pages, and I only discovered it when I started with page 0, which was the beginning of the last chapter that I created, even though it's the first chapter in this workshop. And I realized how amazing this Tombow is. So I wish I knew it earlier, how wonderful it works with art journaling. I'm also adding my illustrations earlier in the process rather than later. And I'm painting there with a little bit of gold. I wanted to use yellow. That's gold ink. And okay, so this page was a little bit more of a challenge, and the frustration factor was a little bit higher, even though I did just lean into the process. Okay, so let me explain that to you. So I'm adding some magenta paint now, and I didn't like actually the way that it just worked with the gold paint and the yellow, and it looked brown and dirty. But anyway, so while I'm doing this, which didn't work, and while I was doing it, I'm like, ugh, this is not working. That's what I was thinking. Let me tell you something a little bit interesting about, I don't know, I never believe in coincidences. I really believe that everything in our lives happened for a reason. Just splattering some paint there, and now I'm just going to let it dry completely. I started doing yoga a little bit more than a year ago, and hot yoga, it's a hot yoga studio that opened in our little town, and we do Bikram yoga. You can look it up. It's a very rigorous yoga routine, but then we have a class that I take religiously once a week. It's a night class, and it's called Yin Yoga. And Yin Yoga is all about using gravity and body weight to get you deeper into a pose. So it's not, everyone looks different. There's no ideal about how you should look when you do Yin Yoga. It's really all about about you. So it's your body's edges. It's where you go. But the thing is, Yin Yoga, at the end of the class, let me start by, I'm just painting here with a little bit of white and magenta mixed in. So you can see that beautiful ombre effect that you get. And that's one of the beautiful things about acrylic paint, is it's patient enough so you can mix the paints on the paper. Okay, but the thing about Yin Yoga is that at the end of the class, you feel amazing. Usually, I have the best sleep. It feels like I had an hour full body massage. That's how it feels at the end of the class. But during the class, it's a little uncomfortable because you hold the poses between 3 and 5 minutes. So you would fold forward and you would just hold that. And as you relax into the pose and you almost surrender yourself to the uncomfortable feeling, the gravity and your body weight will get you deeper into it. And that's the beauty of Yin. So the instructor would say, just breathe through the uncomfortable, uncomfortableness. You should never feel pain, but if it's uncomfortable, just deep breaths, breathe through it and hold for time. And I really liken the process of art journaling to this yin yoga process that I've experienced over and over and over again, that it's not always so comfortable, but in the end, you have to quiet your mind. You have to check your ego. You have to just rest and focus on your breathing. And then in the end, everything works out, and you really feel amazing. So this process really feels like yin yoga to me. It's not always so comfortable. I mean, like when I painted that magenta on there, I'm like, ugh, that's terrible. But you know what? It was necessary because it gave me a path or a road map, to add the acrylic paint that I'm adding. And you can see I'm literally painting over the magenta disaster, if you want to call it that, even though it's not really a disaster, because look what it brought to me, So I don't know, that's the joy of art journaling. It's just let it dictate, let it happen, let it flow, I splattered some red paint on there, and the red that I used here was the crimson, the naphthol crimson inks. And now I'm just going to make some markings with the red. And I have a thin brush, and I have a few of them actually, size 0, 1, 2, maybe a size 3. I don't know what this brush is that I'm using right now because, it's a Royal and Langnickel, I think a size 2. No, I don't know. The wood have chipped off the paint on the brush, so I can't see. But now I'm just playing. This is mindfulness. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment, while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and sensations. And it's very therapeutic. And I love the idea of meditating, even though I don't really meditate in the Buddhist way. I meditate by praying. And to me, someone once said that meditating is cultivating your mind. And when I looked at all the journals together, it really looked like a garden to me. I don't know if you think the same thing, especially with the ones that's coming after this chapter. It looks like a garden, and it looks like this fairy garden or the secret garden. And I really thought to myself, wow, if my mind can, and my soul and my heart, you can see there the paint is falling off the brush. That's what's on that page. If my soul can look like these journals, then I'm truly blessed, I'm using the blue-green ink, and I'm just painting or drawing some flourishes in. Again, I just felt that I wanted to expand because this illustration is very central. It's very symmetrical, so I just wanted to enhance the image by just adding a couple more interesting flourishes. So it's not too much, but I love the green that I did it. And again, don't be afraid to mix the colors, not the actual colors on your palette, but to add colors to your art journal, like green on pink. I mean, or purple, who would have thought it? Because we taught that you use orange with purple or whatever. And now I'm using the lime green, so we're taking it even further, just a tiny bit of lime green. And I'm just going to lightly, I don't know if you can see how lightly I'm holding my brush. And the paint is not quite dry everywhere, so be very careful. Actually, this is not what you should be doing. You should wait until everything is dry. But just that touch of green, look how it just brings out, I don't know, it complements, right? Maybe I did it subconsciously because of the red. And I'm just using a baby wipe and just lightly adding green. Okay, so this page is coming together. The more you work on a page, the more I think you get into this mindful state, which is amazing. I call it embroidering. You just embroider. You just keep on until you feel, okay, this is good. Okay, so next up, I'm going to mix a little bit of yellow and white paint, and I'm using this Tim Holtz stencil. And you can actually click the link of the related products. There's a link to all of Tim Holtz's stencils. I couldn't find this specific one on scrapbook.com, but there's so many other ones that you can use, and there's one that's actually quite similar. And I'm just going to paint here and there with a little bit of this cream color, and the reason why I like it is just because it brings some quiet to the page, and I think that's the reason why I just felt intuitively that I want to add a little bit of solid, quiet paint to this page. And here's the stencil that I'm going to use. So I'm just using a dark paint, I think it's black, just embroidering a tiny bit more, just adding a little bit of markings. And you can see what a difference the cream paint makes to this page. And also how I, selectively stamped with the stencil and by just dabbing paint through it. And there you go, the page is done. And I absolutely love it. This is one of my favorite pages. And I think the reason is because the struggle was so hard. And this concludes the first chapter for this workshop. Here you can see my final page with my journaling added. And I'm very excited to share the next chapter with you, where we're going to dive deeper into starting points in art journaling. Thanks so much for watching, and thank you for investing into this workshop.